But I tell you what, there are people like Michelle Bachmann. Some of you know her name. How strongly she stood. Why throw her out when she's doing what you're asking her to do? When she's standing against party establishment? Why throw Mike Pence out when he stands firmly for conservative principles and Constitution? And now he's in the third-ranking leadership position in the Republican Party and is holding the party's feet to the fire. Why throw a person out like Jeb Hensarling from Texas or Joe Wilson, who stood up and said, "You lie," and he spoke the truth and took the slings and arrows for doing that? When they are the people that are now having the leadership opportunities and will turn the Republican Party around and make it a party at least of what it says its ideals are. Whether you agree with the Republican ideals or not, at least you'll know you've got a party that stands on its principles. Now that's all I say. And we can throw the lobbyists out, but that again comes from people. You'll never throw lobbyists out totally because each of you can be a lobbyist. Each of you are special interests. That's why I'm here today. You will lobby me. You're no different, you're just not paid as high. But there are lobbyists that are representing your ideals too in Washington. I tell people, don't worry about the lobbyists, worry about the legislature you send there. Will they stand up to the lobbyists? Will they use lobbyists to get a fuller picture of all of the issues? But then ultimately, have principal values that will stand and say, no, I can't go that way and here's why. So, I mean, we can try to make it simple, but the system of government in this country isn't simple. It's not complex. But it takes effort of every one of us. That's why I read that. So you can point this to my hip someday. Don't leave yet, unless you have to.
My blood pressure's going up.
Well, then leave. Then leave. I don't want that. I don't want that on my responsibility. But I think that's what you need to understand. This is not cut and dried stuff. It takes you holding my feet to the fire, or any legislator, or any congressman, from the moment they're elected, and not walking away saying, oh, we got the right person elected, now we're okay. No. Or we didn't get the right person elected, I'm sick and tired of it. No. It's continued updating, upgrading, working. You don't let the mayor off. You don't let the congressperson off. You don't let the township supervisor off. You keep us working for you. And you may find out you're not right, and you may find out you are right. And that's how it works together. Yes, ma'am. I don't want your pressure to go.
Oh, yes. And I'm not from
But again, it ought to. We ought to be passionate about this governmental system. So yeah, let it go up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not from Detroit. I'm from Manchester. So I didn't come from out of town to harass you. So I'm ready.
They didn't come from out of town to harass me either.
Oh,
They came for lunch.
Oh,
To a beautiful community.
So did I.
I came here to bring some business here. Excuse me.
I'm delighted at it.
Yeah, thank you. With Pat's point too, I like the way you say that, you know, I'm for America, I'm for Americans, but I really, what America? And then let's just finish, don't jump on that. You know, I don't know what America you're talking about, because you say less controls of big business. Probably, I'm sure you're for less controls of Wall Street, which got us into such big financial trouble. So if you're going to get away from all this government control and less government, what are you going to do to stop them from shipping more jobs over to China? There are no blue-collar jobs left in this country. They aren't. People who are blue-collar have no jobs. And there's no way for you to stop major corporations from doing it. So if you want less control, what are you going to do about it? How are we going to get jobs? It's not just from lowering taxes. They can pay these people $1 an hour, $1 a day, $1 a week. We are never going to be able to do that unless you have more governmental control. So what's your solution?
We compete every day. Remember, folks, even with let's say 10% to round it off, 10% unemployment nation right now. What does that mean?
Probably 20%.
That means 90% employment. If you say virtual unemployment, you get it up to probably from 10% to 13% unemployment. We're still talking about a large employed force. We're talking about a lack of security and certainty. And the uncertainty comes from the fact of the government making the playing field like this. You don't know what it's going to be.
Did you support the bailout for General Motors?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
because government gets in the way and.
Let's save this state. From a lot.
No, I think you look at Ford Motor. Who's in better system right now? Ford Motor Company, Chrysler, or General Motors? Ford Motor Company. They did it themselves. They saw it coming, and they did what it took to build it.
15 years ago,
They started, yeah.
15 years ago,
Yeah.
they started.
And so going back here, I want to make sure we respond to your question. Respond to your question in that we are competing, but we're competing with hurdles put in our way that China's not put in the way of their people.
Well, China also has a government-paid healthcare system. We don't.
That doesn't work.
So our companies here have to pay huge insurance.
Absolutely. So let's reform it. Let's reform it and do the things that I
Let's have a
suggest.
single-payer system.
Okay, now, that's what they have in socialist countries, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work.